This is important stuff. This campaign is going to be closed for a long period of time. Hopefully we'll break out when the televised debates and those things happen. But we know that there are more than enough votes in Connecticut for us to win. Our biggest problem is not where those votes are. It's whether we get them to the polling place. It's an off-year election. We don't have Linda McMahon spending $50 million to remind everyone how much we hate her, so and go out and vote. So you know, we have to work on making sure that people understand that we have to get out and vote. Tom Foley says everybody wants to leave and companies are leaving. So tell me how we created 60,000 private sector jobs if Tom Foley's right. And the reality is Tom Foley's not right. But he can't tell the truth. He's got to tell something else because otherwise he doesn't make the progress that he thinks he's going to make. And so he's got to talk down about Connecticut. That's what's going on. He says, well, we're lagging behind the rest of the nation, and we're not creating jobs at the same pace. So I did a little work. And although nationally the recession ended in 2009, early in 2009, in Connecticut we didn't stop losing jobs until February of 10. So I did a little math. And I looked at all the New England states from February 10 on forward. And guess which state has created more jobs per month, per capita, than any other state in New England? It's Connecticut. It's us. That's what we've done. That's jobs. Then he had this line about, well, I'm not spending more on education. You know I'm spending more on education. You know I'm spending more on education. Quite frankly, the taxpayers of Norwalk should know it because we're sending millions of dollars additional to help turn schools around. That's what we're doing. That's why graduation rates have gone up 4 years in a row. That's why we're number one for the first time in anyone's recent memory, certainly in the last 20 years, number one in 12th grade English in the United States, singly, us alone, tied for number one in mathematics. We're making real progress. Universal pre-K is not just a concept anymore. We're building it. We've added by the end of, well, actually, by starting next week, we will have added during the administration of Wyman and Malloy, we will have added over 2,000 additional early childhood spots throughout the state of Connecticut, a down payment on building out the system over the next 4 years that guarantees that no child will be denied an early childhood education position because of their zip code or their parents' wealth. That's who we are, and that's what we are. I'm proud of that. I touched on transportation close to home in Norwalk. You know, we are spending more on transportation than at any time in our recent history. As I stand before you right now, this year, we've already appropriated $800 million in transportation, a lot of that going into transit. By October 1st, we will have appropriated even more money for transportation. We're making those kinds of investments while Tom Foley is questioning why we spend so much money on transit. Well, of course, he doesn't take a train to work, and he doesn't take a bus to work. But we know who does. It's the people who live in Norwalk and Stamford and Hartford and elsewhere. We have to make investments in transportation and certainly in transit. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're going to Washington and we're winning competitions for that money. And I'm very proud of that. That's what we are doing. And then so they start to tell a story where I've taken money away from transportation. Not true. We're spending more on transportation than at any time in our past. We are taking money out of the general fund and putting it in transportation. So don't buy into the argument they're making. In fact, I will tell you this. The last capital budget that my predecessor had with respect to transportation, she'd actually gone all the way down to about $250 million on capital expenditures. We're already at $800. By October 1st, we'll be at $1.2 billion in appropriated funds. By next spring, when the construction season starts, we will start 80 additional projects, transit and highways. That's who we are. That's what we are. That's the progress we're making. And I'm proud of it, and you should be too. So, you know, education, pre-K through graduate school, we're addressing it. Transportation, bridges, highways, and transit, we're addressing those issues. Job creation, short-term and long-term. Making proper investments to grow jobs. You know, let me tell you something. Before Nancy and I came into office, the state had no tools no tools to help small business in the state of Connecticut. It was all the Commerce Department or you're on your own. So we created a whole new toolbox to help small businesses. Why? Because small businesses grow somewhere between 60 and 70% of all job growth nationally. And you know what we did? One of those programs is called the Small Business Express. And we've now invested in 1,250 firms, small businesses, creating and retaining over 14,000 jobs. We were the lifeline for many small businesses when they could not get access to funds in banks. We saved those jobs. We build our economy. We'll go after the big companies and we'll get them to grow their footprints, but we are supporting small businesses, moms and pops, startups, small businesses under 100 people. We're doing that, and we created that toolbox. It did not exist until we did it. That's who we are, that's what we are, and we're moving forward. Final point, because we're in an urban environment. Let me add this. Crime is at its lowest in 45 years. Homicides are at their lowest in decades. In fact, last year in 2013 was only one of 4 years in the state of Connecticut where homicides were less than 100. There were 83, I believe. And right now we're running even further below that number. And nobody, this guy knows crime from mayor. Different experience, isn't it? And as chief. I knew it as mayor, and I know it as governor. We are supporting local departments. We are investing in people. We're making sure that people in prison are getting mental health treatment, alcohol, drug treatment. Our recidivism rate is down, and crime is at its lowest point in 45 years. That's who we are. That's what we are, and I'm proud of it. Be invested. Let's get the job done. Let's make sure people understand that elections have consequences. And it certainly has consequences in Norwalk, where we've become a partner when you didn't have a partner in Hartford before. So thanks for being here. God bless you all. Let's get it done, okay?